So in this age of Trump and, where crazy Christianity has really become way more prominent, and, that all started with Ronald Reagan, but it's really been unleashed with Donald Trump, it is not surprising to find out that most white evangelicals in America think that white Christians are oppressed. And this is a myth that doesn't just stay within white evangelicals who are traditionally pretty crazy. It goes throughout the whole of really Christian American society. And I just want to talk about how utterly ridiculous it is to think Christians are oppressed in America, especially white Christians. So the reasons why they think they're oppressed. So to them, Christians not completely dominating every facet of government across the United States means they think they're oppressed. And you see this with things like the religious freedom bill that they always put forward. It's like, we want our freedom to discriminate back. If we don't want to serve gay people at a restaurant, we shouldn't have to. And because they don't have complete dominance anymore, they consider that oppression. And let's just go into how much bullshit that really is. So for example, Donald Trump, apparent Christian, is the president. Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, is also Christian. Most of the Republican Party, pretty much all of it, are white Christians. Most of the Democrat Party are also white Christians, even though it has a much more diverse makeup. Most bodies across America are controlled by Republicans, some Democrats, but most of them are also white Christians. And then you look at a global context, who controls the UK? White Christians, the Tory party, even though it's not a white Christian man who's the leader, it's Theresa May, another white Christian. Poland, most of the EU countries, white Christians. Most of the big CEOs of the massive companies are white at least. A lot of them are Christians as well, especially in America. And this notion that you can be so privileged, you can control most of the Western world and still think you're oppressed, I think just goes to show how insane these groups are, because there's actually oppressed groups in these countries. For example, African Americans are still oppressed in America today. And that's systemic oppression, that's institutional oppression. They're probably the most oppressed group in America. And then you have groups like Latinos as well. The way they're treated, we've seen what ICE have done in the last couple of years, sending, army veterans back to countries they've never been to because they're Hispanic, locking up kids at the border, abusing the kids in detention camps and everything like that. Does anything like that ever happen to white people? Has anything in American history ever been comparable to that? White people get locked up in internment camps in World War II, even the Germans and Italians. No, but the Japanese did. Did white people get put on reservations? No. Is there a disproportionate amount of African Americans in prison for non-violent drug offences? Yes, there are. And then there are other groups like Jews who do have a bit more political power than the other groups I've mentioned, but at the same time, we've seen all these attacks on synagogues, all this racist graffiti, and they are still oppressed. And Trump has sort of unleashed a new wave of anti-Semitism, all these bomb threats to synagogues and everything. Similar with Muslims as well. All these threats they get, the way they're treated in America and most of the West, they're probably discriminated against. And it's crazy to think that white Christians will see that while they have control of everything and be like, no, we're the oppressed ones. We're the oppressed ones because we've tried to be better as a society and incorporate these people more and have more diversity in government, in positions, in jobs and everything. But that's oppression of Christians because we're trying to balance the scale a bit because it's been so unbalanced forever. And they see oppression as taking away complete control from them. America is a Christian country and a lot of them would say a white country as well. And because you're trying to change that a bit, because it has massive non-white elements, that apparently is oppression of them. And like I was saying, there isn't really any logic to it because there isn't a case to make because white people in America have never been discriminated against. But, even today, most institutions and governments and local governments are all controlled by white Christians, including the presidency, and everyone who works in his administration is pretty much white and Christian. And like I said, the Senate, which is dominated by white Christian Republicans who get to make all the rules. And how is that oppression? And, most state legislators, they're white Christian and Republican dominated. So, like I'm just saying, it's complete nonsense and it's completely crazy. And it goes into hand in hand with this element of, I'm a white male, so I don't deserve things. So you've seen all the stuff with Captain Marvel, and all the, little nerds are being like, oh, I'm not going to watch this film because I'm a white male and you hate white males. There's people think you're getting hated on for being white these days, just because there's balance come into entertainment, to government, everything like that. So seeing diversity on screen pisses these people off because they might be low-key racist, but they're just against change because they're against their power being eaten away by other classes and other groups of people, including minorities and other religions, because their prejudice that no longer equals the total dominance of stuff. they're still prejudiced, but you know, their control has been eaten away, and that's really the heart of it, and that's why it's such bullshit. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this kind of content, maybe subscribe, leave a like on the video. If you want to follow me on social media, it's at The Tabernacle on Twitter and Instagram. I also have a WordPress where I try and write one article a week, and that is The Tabernacle WordPress. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.